Sorry about the
Good morning. Well,
working out the details with Paul and Jen. I have still a granddaughter that's going to say. We'll turn it over to you and everybody else that you're going to invite up or you want to say your piece. So
Yes.
Hi, Miss Fisher.
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
You had a few words for Mr. Howdy?
Yes,
and Sarah?
I said there is not a better family for this to be dedicated to than the Howdy family. We're excited for them.
Paul and Sarah, we're so happy for you, and this is very deserving, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of this. And can't wait to meet all your family members.
More beautiful day than picture. Awesome. My pleasure. I'm going to sign your book. Not to worry. That's what I told Glenn first. There's no tie on, so look at that match. Oh, thank you for being here. Thank you.
So we are so happy to be here for Mr. Howdy's dedication. This is absolutely a gorgeous day for everyone, and to have Mrs. Hall next to us is just uniquely wonderful.
It's a wonderful occasion, and I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, come on. Good morning, everyone. I'll tell you what, we're here to celebrate Paul and Sarah Howdy, but I had no idea that they could order up weather like this. I was told there is a secret to that, but I'll keep that to myself. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. On behalf of the College Board of Trustees, I would like to welcome everyone to this celebration of Paul and Sarah Howdy. Before we get going, I would like to take a few moments to acknowledge a few people, so please indulge me. First and foremostly, I want to recognize the grounds, custodial, and facilities staff. On top of everything that they do at this large campus, they have been working in extra time, special care, and dedication for this dedication. So please join me in thanking that group back there. I'd also like to take just a moment to recognize our Board of Trustees. Will our current Board of Trustees please stand? With us today is Martha Warner, Mr. Eloy Rodriguez, Carol Losi, Victor Gomez, and Jerry Sanchez. Thank you. How about we recognize all of the past Board of Trustees members that are here. If you would please stand, including Mr. Dirks, who has come out to join us this morning, and Ms. Fisher in the back, who has joined us. Please stand and be recognized. Thank you, Ms. Hall. We also have with us today, very fortunate, two of my past predecessors. We have with us, I don't see her, Miss, there she is, Dr. B. Espinoza, please stand, and Dr. John Brockman. Thank you for joining us today. I'd also like to take just one last second to recognize the city manager, John Benson, who has come out to join us today in this celebration. Thank you, John. Today, it is my honor and privilege to be part of the celebration of Paul and Sarah Howdy. I spent the last few weeks talking with them, and it occurred to me that they are builders, and it reminded me of a story about a traveler who met the stonecutters along a road, and he asked each of the stonecutters, "What are you doing?" The first man responded he was cutting stone. The second man said he was shaping a cornerstone. But the third proudly smiled and said, "I'm building a cathedral." Well, I've had a lot of conversation with the Howdies, and I don't think that they've built cathedrals. It may be the only thing they haven't done. But I'll tell you what is clear to me, friends, family, is that it's probably clear to all of you too. The Howdies are builders. They've built a life together. They've been married for over 50 years. Actually 52, and just for the record, that's how old I am. They've built a family. Son Paul, daughter Jana. We're so glad you could join us today. Please stand and let us recognize you. Jana, Paul, thank you. I believe we're going to hear from Jana in a bit. They spent their life building a partnership that they dedicated to providing education in the K-12 arena. Think about this, friends. They spent 75 years collectively in this endeavor. They helped shape and build the character and minds of so many individuals. Paul spent 33 years teaching agriculture, and Sarah spent 42 years combined as an educator and an administrator. So if you're keeping count, like I said, 75 years combined, but that's a generation. When you do 30 years, that's a generation. So those of you who were in education know what happens when you teach a generation. You have kids, and then you have their kids. So Paul and Sarah and I were walking campus. I was trying to give them a feel for how this would look and what would happen today. And I had with me Johnny Camacho and Renee Gonzalez, who they were with us. I had to talk to them, and they were going to help do a lot of the work. So we just were walking, and of course, Sarah, I don't think she ever met a stranger, because I don't know that she could meet any more strangers. Her and Johnny Camacho just caught up like it was old times and talked about family and friends and who is where. And I bet this happens to Paul and Sarah every time they go out in the community. You can also imagine that they've built quite a list of accomplishments. Sarah has been recognized 3 times by the Texas Education Agency for exemplary campus. She did this at 2 different schools. She was recognized twice as Support Staff of the Year. Paul has been recognized by the Texas Agriculture Teachers Association for Distinguished Teacher Award. He was also recognized as Outstanding Secondary Educator and Social Conservation Teacher of the Year. Now, the last conversation I had with the Howdies, both of them were extremely proud of another recognition that Paul received. Paul also served as the National Association of Agriculture Educators President from the years 2000-2001. So recognized nationally for his efforts in education. They have been active at the First Presbyterian Church of Beeville, where Paul has served as an elder and a Sunday school teacher. Sarah has been an elder, served on a pastoral search committee, worship committee, lay reader organizer, and the Presbyterian Women's Group. They've also helped build their community by being engaged in many of the community and professional organizations. Paul has served on the Bee Development Authority, Bee County Western Week as a board member, United Way, Rotary, Bee County Livestock Show as a board member, and currently he serves ConocoPhillips Advisory Committee. Incidentally, he told me he was trying to tell them how to fix it. And I don't think he doesn't think they were listening to him too much, but that's neither here nor there. Sarah has been the president of the Beeville Art Association, Home Arts Club, Beeville 4-H, and the Sew and Show Club. There's one last community endeavor and contribution that is important for every one of us that is here today and for everyone at the school. Paul served on the Coastal Bend College Board of Trustees for 32 years. This means Paul Howdy served as a Coastal Bend College, or he served Coastal Bend College for 57% of its existence. He has been a staple to the college. By my estimation, he has served with at least 20 of the 35 board members that have served. He has also worked with every president of the college, except me. Clearly, Paul and Sarah have a lot of luck, too. We were at breakfast the other morning, just last week, and just talking about like the responsibilities that presidents and boards have, and just things that we talk about daily that bore most people to tears, things like programs and students and just you name it, just up and down the list of things that we talk about and deal with on a daily basis. But Paul said something to me that I'll probably remember for a long time, mainly because he said, just remember this. But it was profound, and he's right. Paul said, just remember, you have to do the best you can with the information you have for today. Later, things are going to change. The college is going to take another direction. You will work for today, but your work is going to be changed later on because priorities change. Moral of the story, do the best you can. Focus on student and program success, and everything else will fall in place. Paul and Sarah have shared a life building a legacy in this community and in their profession. Paul has worked many years with so many trustees and all the presidents to build a now for the college so that we'll have a future. I did not get the pleasure of working with you, sir, but I intend to meet the challenge that you've laid out for me. If I could, I would like the members of the Executive Board of Trustees to come up, please. Mr. Gomez is our chair. Eloy Rodriguez is our vice chair, and Mr. Losi is our secretary. So, Paul taught me something else. I was paying attention, Paul. He told me this little thing he did. I'm going to see if I can pull it off, Paul. You know where I'm going, right? Will the family of Paul and Sarah Howdy please stand and remain standing? Will all of the Board of Trustee members who have worked with Mr. Paul Howdy, or if you are a board member, please stand. If you are part of Paul and Sarah's church family, please stand. If you are a member of the college family and work here today as staff, faculty, administrator, please stand. And if everybody else who's just glad to be here on such a beautiful day to recognize Paul and Sarah Howdy, would you please stand for just a moment, please? Winston Churchill said, "We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give." Churchill is correct, and Paul and Sarah have had an incredible life thus far. Gentlemen, Paul and Sarah, on behalf of the Coastal Bend College Board of Trustees, it is my honor and privilege to dedicate to Paul and Sarah Howdy Science Book. Paul told me how he got a standing ovation. Thank you for the standing ovation. Well, Paul, Sarah, I got you one more. At this time, I've lost my program, but I think I know where I'm at. I would like to have Jana, Paul, and Paul's granddaughter. They have a few words that they would like to share on behalf of the Howdies. I would like for you all come up first.
Okay.
I got to get one of the speakers ready.
Thank you. It's so great to see so many people, friends and family that we grew up with or been with all these years. So thank you all for being here. My name is Jana Canelli. I'm Paul and Sarah's daughter. My brother and I had the greatest privilege of growing up with two great educators and leaders. Dr. Howard, thank you for knowing them in such a short time. Your speech was excellent. Thank you. You see, we had a front row seat in learning that leaders do lead in different ways, but are just as effective. And yet they always needed a partner in life to make it all work. You see, I grew up with Dad, as you all know, who, as Dr. Harvard said, engaged in community through positions of influence. You know, from being on Western League committees to being a church elder, national and state presidents. He influenced communities from positions of influence. He guided organizations to better his or her community. Something that probably hardworking people should still take time to do today, like he did then. It's something I think that the world continues to need to do more of what my dad did, was serve. However, there was always a secret sauce to my dad. And for those of you that know him, knew this. He believed in you. He always made people feel good about themselves. He made them feel like they could do anything. And if anything, it's because he believed in them. And so you will probably, meet executive directors of organizations or presidents of even this college that understood that he believed in them and therefore they could make this organization better. And even above all that, he did that for his students. Every single student understood that someone believed in him and they could do more. I know we did. My mom in her career took care of her community in a different way. It's not actually visible to everyone like maybe my dad's was. You see, she focused on the education system and that they needed and the kids that needed her the most. She did everything possible to not ever let an education system fail a student. And she did this by giving teachers all the supplies possible that were needed. She worked tirelessly fundraising, writing grants for the newest technology. She did little extra things that stretched the budget just a little bit further. She would focus on her maintenance team because the maintenance team made the school a home and she understood that. She identified with teaching assistants who gave 110% because she knew because the help of teaching assistants would allow the school to do even more. And all of this, she took barriers out of the way of teachers so that teachers could focus on students and doing what it is they needed to do. So it was wonderful to have a front row seat to seeing both of these leaders. The two of them have always been a team. My dad making floral arrangements and wreaths for my mom's school so that it could look nicer. My parents drove alternating nights through different years, getting their master's degree in Kingsville. My mom made dinners for countless of ag boys throughout the years, but each of them cheering each other on in their endeavors. So thank you to all that were involved in making this possible. It is a source of pride for all of our family. And Mom and Dad, congratulations. Now we're going to ask folks to come up and say a couple of words. My daughter Sarah wants to be the first.
I am Mama Pablo's favorite granddaughter. Mama and Pablo are very hard workers. Pablo takes care of the cows and Mama makes wonderful dinners. But as Mama always says, she plants the flowers and picks the flowers too. Then Pablo makes them into beautiful flower arrangements that they bring to the church. These two have always been a team. They help their community and support each other. I am so glad to be their favorite granddaughter.
Bingo, would you like to?
Do I need to use the stepping? Good morning. Just real quick, my name is Domingo Garcia. I am a resident of V County as well. I met Mr. Howdy almost, 39 and a half years ago. I was one of the students. I was the boy who walked into the classroom, the poor boy sat in the back, dressed a little different. And then we met eyes, and the rest has been history. I cannot express the appreciation that this, for the man that has given me many, many opportunities and the influences that he's had on me. There's an expression that goes, it's the little things you do that make a big difference. Mr. Howdy, all the little things that you did, all the influence, all the leadership, all the opportunities, the motivation to change my life, because I was in a rut of poverty. And so I dug myself out with the help of Mr. Howdy's wisdom. Met Mrs. Howdy, and they accepted me like family. I spent many nights at their dinner table. Just want to say congratulations on this awesome achievement. Because of Mr. and Mrs. Howdy, this is my 30th year as the Ag Science teacher at Skidmore County High School. Talking about all their achievements and accomplishments in education, and I always say it's not a profession in education. It's a passion for education, because as an educator, as teachers, we're not just teaching the curriculum, we're not just teaching the essential knowledge and skills, but we're taking kids, or he took me and he molded me, and he shaped me and he influenced me. And I hope that I'm doing that somewhat as much as the impact he's had on me. And there's several of you here today that have had Mr. Howdy, and he's had that influence on you, and I just can't say thank you enough. And I'm really nervous now because I've never professed this in front of him or them here, but love you guys, and congratulations.
Hello, good morning, and first of all I want to thank the Howdys for their contribution and for making an impact on me, on the students, on the staff of Beeville. I'll never forget, Mrs. Howdy hired me 25 years ago as a first-year teacher. I was nervous. I was needing a mentor, and Mrs. Howdy reached out to me. She hired me. She grew me. I remember her saying, Miss Sanchez, what would you like to do years from now? And I thought, well, I haven't thought about it. I saw the influence that Mrs. Howdy had. She would take students to if they didn't have transportation at school, she literally was their transportation for tutorials. And she made that amazing impact. I remember her saying, Ms. Sanchez, you know, Texas needs good principals. We need good principals. And I went to school to be a principal, and Ms. Jaure, I did my practicum under Mrs. Jaure, and she was my mentor through that time too. And I'll never forget, and I'm sure Mrs. Jaure remembers, she took me to the Texas Elementary Principals Association. It's 6,000 principals. Ms. Jaure had been a member and would go to every single summer conference. And I went as an aspiring administrator that year, and she paid for me to attend that conference. I remember sitting there and seeing all the principals of Texas there, and the president of the organization coming up there. And I looked at Ms. Howard, I said, wow, I didn't realize there was such a big organization. She said, yes, it's 6,000 principals, and years from now, I see you standing up there. And I'll tell you, Ms. Howard, that spoke to me last year. I became the president of the Texas Elementary Principals Association. So I just want to say, Ms. Howard, your impact spans generations. And I can't tell you enough for changing my life, changing the faculty's life, and changing students' life, because Mr. Howard and Ms. Howard, you all are life changers. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. So thank you.
Now, are you ready? Our guests of honor, ladies and gentlemen, Paul and Sarah Howdy.
Start, Doug Arnold told me he was probably going to come. He's the next board member. Is he here? I just wanted to make sure that I recognized him. But anyway, I just thank you. Thank you for being here. It's so neat. This is a very special occasion for our family. Sarah and I, along with our son Paul and our daughter Jana, and our son Jeff, are deeply honored with the dedication of the Science Building in our honor. I want to tell you about Jeff. And Jeff was born in March of 1981. He had to have heart surgery 9 months later. We lost Jeff at that time, but he's still part of our family. I'd like to thank Dr. Hogan and all his staff for what they've done. Thank you for the board for what you've done. Special thanks to Eloy and Martha Warner for bringing this agenda item before the board, and this happening today. A special thanks goes to Laura Fisher, who's over there in her car, and Dr. Espinosa for planting the seed for this to happen. At this time, I'd like to bring Sarah to the podium, and then I will continue.
Thank you, and bear with me. I am going to be a little repetitive, but I do want to take the opportunity to once again give a warm welcome to all who have joined us today. I brought my Kleenexes, so bear with me if I have to stop. A welcome to our families, friends, former CBC trustees, and administrators, our church family, and fellow educators. We want to, of course, especially thank Dr. Hoggart and the Board of Trustees for this honor bestowed upon us today. We must also thank the CBC Foundation for organizing the luncheon that we'll enjoy later today. the CBC photographers who are here, and as Dr. Hoggard said, the college maintenance crew who worked so hard setting up so that all of us can enjoy the day and be as comfortable as possible. When I was growing up in Helena, Texas, and going to school in Karn City, every year on the first day of elementary school, we had to make sure all our textbooks were covered. And on those book covers was a small ad that read something like this: if you complete a 4-year college, you can hope to make $150,000 in your lifetime. That was it. That was it for this small town country girl. That set my goal right there. I was going to college and earn all that money in a lifetime. But when I graduated from Southwest Texas and had my first class of first graders who could not speak English and came from low socioeconomic families, my goal changed. It was no longer about money, but helping those students achieve and making them feel good about who they were. And those goals never changed for the next 42 years that I was a teacher and administrator. In 1982, when Paul was named to the board, we were just kids. We were kids in our 30s. The new kids on the block, you might say. But those other board members, R.W. Dirks, Louise Hall, Dr. Buck Spellman, Frank Yostis, Robert Beasley, Pete Marshak, and their spouses embraced us immediately, took us under their wings. By the way, I think Mr. Dirks is here with us today, and Mrs. Hall, where you're here, I think I saw you earlier.
Back here.
Oh, okay, back there. There she is. And congratulations to Mr. Dirks, who just celebrated his 100th birthday in June. Mrs. Hall, you and I are not going to talk about our ages. Anyway, Paul went on to serve on the board, as Dr. Hoggard said, for 32 years, the last 10 years as board chairman. We were first generation college students when Paul and I entered college, as are a large percentage of the students who attend Coastal Bend College. The founding fathers of the college in 1965 formed this institution, formerly known as B County College, providing these very students the opportunity to begin their college careers right here. And thus creating many success stories throughout the college's 54-year history. We've always been so proud of our association with the college for the many lives it has touched. And this recognition for us today just fills us with pride and appreciation beyond any words we could express. For now, simply thank you, Dr. Hoggard, again, and the Coastal Bend College Board of Trustees, with our sincere gratitude for naming the Science Building in our honor. Thank you.
That's a hard act to follow. I am honored to see my name on this building. But my biggest honor comes to see the love of my life for 50 years name beside me, Sarah Howard. Our lives have always been a team effort on love and trust. The name of this building comes of the nurturing that you out there in the audience have given us. Respect. It's coming in as young folks into this community. We saw so much respect. And I think that anything that we have done throughout our careers is that we have always shown respect for our students and those who we work with. That is such an important thing for all of us to do, to show respect to others. It goes a long ways and doesn't cost much money. Each one of us have, besides respect, the leadership that we could see in you. We try to put it forward to what we were doing. The service that you gave to the community were certainly those things that we tried to do. You cared for us, we cared for others. The guidance that you gave us, a lot of this guidance was so important for us to do what we did. Devotion, so important, the devotion that we all prayed for a lot of things in this community. It has been such a neat what has happened. We thank you for letting us be part of your lives while all this happened. I want to tell you that a good friend of mine from Allisonia, Virginia, his name is Mike Cox, and he wanted to be here very bad, couldn't make it because of he said, my knees are giving out, it's going to be hard for me to get there. But he said, I've done something for you. Today, the city of Allisonia, Virginia is dedicated this day in your honor and Sarah's honor. Allisonia, Virginia, thank you. I want to say a special thanks to our parents for passing their values to us. Abraham and Estacia Guerrero, and Miguel and Berta Jaure. Abraham is still with us today, as Sarah would say, 103 and a half years of age. What a wonderful life he has lived. One of the biggest values that they believed in was that hard work was good for you. They instilled that value in us. And I often question that belief, especially while cutting broom corn and picking cotton. I didn't think that maybe that was the best thing, but it does. Hard work pays off. As I see out there in the audience, gosh, so many folks that I want to say thank you to. And I see my good friend Leonard Pavlik right there. He and I were teaching partners for 18 years. What a wonderful partner. I want to say one of the person who had such a big influence, you heard Mingo a while ago talk about the influence that I had on his life. There was an ag teacher in Bettis when I went to school who had the very big influence on me. His name was Mr. R.C. Evans. He believed in me. He believed in me. He brought me from the back of the room to the front and made me a star. Made me a star. I want to read this something that he sent to me on my 75th birthday, a little message. And this just goes to show you the person he was. Special is a word that especially applies to you. You always have a smile for others and show God's love by things you do. Happy birthday to you, and please have some fun. Do something special for yourself as a reward for what you have done. There it is. Thank you, Mr. All those years that I taught agriculture in Beeville, teaching for all those years are just as exciting as the first day I stepped into the classroom. My teaching philosophy was to find students who needed help and inspire them and lead them to stardom as Mr. Ed had done for me. I built a program with mutual respect, courtesy, and helping students feel comfortable with learning. I motivated students to learn by focusing on their interests outside of the classroom, by attending as many extracurricular activities as possible, and built a connection with them to motivate them to learn and participate in all FFA activities. My years in serving on the Coastal Bend College, I remember that phone call that I received that, and I don't remember who was making the call, but somebody called me at school, this before cell phones, of course, and wanted to ask me that my name was a nomination to replace a board member, and if I was willing to accept if that nomination came through. Well, I told him I would. The first person I drove to see was John Galloway. And John, I said, there's several of those board members that I know, but there's some members that I know all of them. The problem is they don't know me. You need a call of John, and I said, do that for me, and he did. Thank you, John Galloway. I'm on the board. I was on the board all of that time, and thanks to you but he's the first one I drove out to see. I learned from those board members when I went in that we're all real seasoned board members, except for Mrs. Hall. She was a young one like me. I learned from them that the most important thing to the board member that we can do is provide student success, program success, and be good stewards of the taxpayers' money. Very, very important to them. And it was something that I carried out through my years of service to the board, and I believe those things are still happening today. I served under President Ho, Dr. Wallace, Dr. Brockman, Dr. Dana, and Dr. Espinosa. Everything changed. A lot of things changed through those years. You know, I remember my first board meeting, and I was really surprised by the amount of smoke that was in the building. We had Grady Hogue, a couple of board members, and then a couple of people that were on the staff who smoked. If we could find those big old ashtrays and let the foundation auction them off, we probably could get a lot of money. They're somewhere around here. But of course that stopped for a few years. But I remember that. I remember Sarah asking one time, where you been? Smoking. I've been in a board meeting, you know? I've been in a board meeting. Sure. I want to say throughout all those years, well, on the first group of board members that were there, Mr. Marshak, Mr. Beasley, and Mr. Yostis were on the founding board members of this college. I want to thank Bill Dirks for all those years that he served on the board, I believe 37 years. You know, I've learned a lot from him, just watching him operate as a board chair and that. It was so neat. I didn't have to ask him any questions, I just watched. And I learned. Thank you, Bill, for all of that. I want to thank, for all those years, another person who served for all those folks that I was talking about is standing back here in the black, Gloria Vincon, as president of, there she is, waving her hand. Gloria served as secretary to all those board members. She served, and the person as board members we called and said, Gloria, I need some information. I need this or whatever, and she found it for us. She was pretty tough on us. One day, you know, she called me. She would call everybody, are you going to be at the meeting today? Well, and she would call 8 or 10 times till she found you, you know, and I was at work. And usually I would call early in the morning. I said, I don't want 10 calls. I'll just call her and say, I'll be there. Well, one day I said, Gloria, I'm not sure if I can be there this afternoon. I had a lot of activities with my students and that. I said, I'm not really sure if I can do that. She said, well, I want to tell you, Mr. Dirks is in Carrizo Springs working on a rig, and he's going to come to the board meeting. And after the board meeting, he's going to go back to the rig. Are you coming or not? I said, Gloria, I'll be there. So that was the type of person that, thank you, Gloria, for all those years of service to this college. In those years of service to my students, it was always so good to, especially talked about Leonard a while ago, those years, Mr. Podley, those years that we served together. What a wonderful experience. He was a good old country boy from Georgia West, and here I was from Pettis, and we did it. You know, to show you that, I always remember this. When we left in the afternoon, we usually, we didn't go by 4 o'clock. We just, when it was time, we quit and we left. But I can tell you, if I left first, I would wait at the gate for Leonard to come on so we could shut the gate together, and vice versa. And I can always remember, we didn't take off because we didn't want to shut the gate. We still waited for each other. I thought that showed how close we were together. To do that, I always remember that. What a partnership that we had. I believe that education is the answer to solving society's problems. We need to always keep reminding students the importance of education. I am very proud of CBC student success. We have all types of degree programs. I'm especially proud of those students that come and earn a certificate in order to get a better paying job to provide for themselves and their families. I have witnessed it over and over that when the first family member enters, other family members will follow. We need to keep reminding students the importance of education. You remember that, favorite granddaughter? Again, Sarah and I thank you for being here to celebrate this special occasion. What a great honor for us and our family. It is a day that we will never forget. Gracias.
Man, I'm glad I started this thing off. There's no way I can follow that. Is it not clear the impact the lives of the Howdies have had on this community? You know, what else can we say? But thank you for being in our lives and having an impact and showing us the way. I cannot remember the last time I sat in the speech and felt chastised, admonished, proud to be what I am, and challenged to do better. Way to go, Paul and Sarah. So luckily I don't have to close this, because I can't follow that. At this time, we'll let our board chair come and try. At this time, I'd like Victor Gomez to come up and say a few words before we turn it over to the pastor to offer the benediction and bless the food.
The only reason I'm here is because of Paul, from every aspect. And you know him as Paul. I only know him as Mr. Howdy. I could never, to his face, call him Paul. It was interesting. I've always said Mr. Howdy, and he said, well, one day you're going to be Mr. And I thought, whatever. I don't think so. Mr. was my dad. I wanted. But as I do this, I'm like, wow, he was right. Again, a lot of you don't know that he was also a teacher for floral design at school, and I think, and I don't know, it's probably class they threw together for a couple of us that couldn't have an off period because we were too young, and they wanted, you know, they didn't want us to go out in the community and tackle everybody. But he taught a floral design class for those of us that needed an off period. We had already accomplished all the high school, curriculum that we had, and we couldn't. So he taught me how to make a big rose out of paper mache and stuff. It was really cool. And I said, man, I could do this for my girlfriend. That'd be neat. He said, Victor, just go buy some plants. Yes, sir. But I'm not going to take any more time because there's nothing else to say. When I was invited to come up and say a few words, I said that's the most impossible task ever, because there's not a few words that anyone can say about Mr. Howdy. So all I can say is ditto. So thank you, Mr. Howdy, for all the contribution that you have provided to this community, heck, to the Coastal Bend region, and now I know the nation. I didn't realize that part of it. I don't know why I didn't. That's my fault. But you've had an impact on this nation. Who else in Beeville, Texas can say that? Thank you, Mr. Howdy, and Pastor Taylor, please. Again, one last round of applause for Mr. Howdy.
One of the hardest jobs that I have as pastor at First Presbyterian Church is when it comes to the time in worship where we do joys and concerns. And I ask the congregation, well, what should we be praying for? And I listen. I usually don't write down things, and then I have to come up with a prayer of benediction to cover all those things that we've come up with. I didn't prepare a prayer ahead of time because I was waiting for the joys and concerns to be shared. And we have definitely had that experience today. So would you bow your heads in prayer with me? Heavenly Father, we give thanks on this special day as we honor Paul and Sarah. We ask, Lord, for blessings upon them and their family as they continue the journey that you set before them. We give you thanks for the beautiful weather that's been provided for this occasion, and for the lives of all the people that touched their lives, and now their lives touch in future times. We ask, Lord, that you might bless those people who have been trustees of this college, who currently serve as trustees, and the youngsters who will come up in the future. We give thanks, Lord, for all the leaders who are here today representing the various places in our community that, as Paul would say, touch the children with education. Education that will change. We ask, Lord, that as we go forth from this experience of praise and thanksgiving, that you bless the food which we share. May it strengthen our bodies to do your will and purpose, not only this day, but in every day. In your Son's name we pray today. Amen.
Paul and Sarah, it makes my heart warm to be here celebrating with you two. This is long overdue, and it will last to the next millennial, and you deserve it. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for helping us be a part of the family. Thank you for my first presidency here and being a great support. I really appreciate it. And like you, I'm in love with student success. So thank you for sharing in that passion and planting that seed even further with me. Miss Sarah, the little kids, they're all the better for it, and it'll last generations because of the work you did here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And every time I drive by here, I'm going to make a stop to see the Paul and Sarah Jaure Science Building. Love you guys.
Well, I'd like to say a few words for Paul and Sarah Jaure. They're great people. I've known them forever. They've just been wonderful influences in the community and on me personally and my wife. So it's been a pleasure being here today to see them recognized for their contributions to the community. So it's been very good.
Hey, Pachi, I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciated what you have done over the years, not only as an ag teacher, but also as a board member of Coastal Bend College, as well as just being a friend. I think you're a friend to everybody in B County for all practical purposes. But you've done a great job. You're a great guy, and we love you, Guy, and Sarah. We appreciate everything that you've done. Thank you, bud.